Hey, good morning, everybody. It's about 5 in the morning, and I'm going to try to do this real quickly live. And thank you all for watching live and even post live if you watch this after it's done. I want to kind of talk some WWE today. Um, First of all, to get out of the way, I did not watch the Mae Young Classic yet. I didn't watch the finals. Um, I plan to possibly. A lot of people say it was good, and everybody's pretty much said who won it, which is Kairi Sane, which was pretty much to be expected. And now word is she's going to be challenging for the NXT Women's title against whoever her opponent will be in November. Um, I will say this: WWE, they got to follow through on Kairi Sane's momentum, and I think letting her go over whoever she faces at Takeover Houston is probably the best option. They got to go with Kairi Sane all the way. Don't job her out. Don't make her go through all this. Well, here's the thing: don't make her go through all this signing with the company and all that to be part of your NXT brand, and then eventually whatever main roster brand she goes to. Don't do that. Don't put her in a situation to where she's gone throughout gone through this entire tournament and won it, and she's like the second biggest deal as far as women wrestlers internationally that you've signed from Japan or elsewhere. Don't go through all this trouble. Don't have a go. Don't go through all this trouble. Don't push your push her all the way like you did, only to have a job out. Because I think it'd be stupid. I think you got to keep the momentum going. And I say let Kairi Sane walk out the NXT Women's Champion. I look at it this way: develop a storyline to where it seems that no matter who it seems as far as the women wrestlers, and you can even translate this to the male wrestlers that come out of Japan or from the UK, is it seems that no matter who's on top, they always seem to be unbeatable. It's like there's something about them that you just can't figure out. And I think you need to continue that momentum with Kairi Sane. I say let her become NXT Women's Champion at Takeover Houston. Um, now speaking of now speaking of the Mae Young Classic Finals, we know that they were in Las Vegas tonight. They were there for a special edition of SmackDown Live called Sin City SmackDown. And overall, from what I understand, it was good. Overall, enjoyed it, and the basically, from what I understand, the tag team title match and the ending segment really put the show over the top. As far as the tag team title match goes, yes, congratulations to New Day for becoming four-time champions, two-time Raw, two-time SmackDown. I guess WWE's goal to make them the greatest tag team champions of all time um, is definitely a go, if you know what I'm saying. Because there's reports that WWE wants to market them as one of the greatest tag teams, if not the greatest tag team champions ever. So, congratulations to them. I think this is definitely going to be leading to one more match between them and the Usos, and I think what we're going to get is a rematch at Hell in a Cell, and I think it's going to be inside the cell. I really do. You might say, well, Nakamura and Mahal may get that spot. They may, but right now I think they're going to go more one-on-one with that. And I think if they're going to give Nakamura the win, if they don't give it to him at Hell in a Cell, I think they're going to give it to him at Survivor Series. I really do. Um, but anyway, I believe if Nakamura and Mahal don't get the second Hell in the Cell, then the second Hell in the Cell definitely has to go to it definitely has to go to the New Day and the Usos for the tag team titles. I think that's the most logical way to kind of put an exclamation point on this feud. Um, as far as the ending segment goes tonight with Vince and Kevin, I thought it was very well done. I think a lot of us felt that Vince was going to take some physical abuse here, even though, as you said, Deluxe Man, if you're watching, Vince pretty much, you could see it on his lips when he was shaking Kevin's hand kind of said, "Go ahead and headbutt me the hard way," or something like that. That's one thing I will say, that when they do these kind of angles, as good as they are, it seems they always delay it just a bit to where, the person that's going to get attacked is discussing it right then and there with them. Then right then and there with them before anything actually happens. So I think they need to go back to where when the handshake happens, that's when you have an attack right away. You don't discuss it or anything. You just make the attack happen. So I think they need to go back to where it just there's no delay, it just happens. But besides that, I think the segment was good. I really do. This, I think, what they're doing with Owens is sort of a hybrid of what they have made Kevin into and what Kevin was on the Indies. So you're getting a hybrid of the WWE's Kevin Owens mixed in with the independent Kevin Steen that was known from Ring of Honor and such places. So you're getting that mixture, and I I really don't know how they're gonna book Hell in a Cell. Honestly, I mean, you want Kevin, you would want. I mean, if you're a fan of Shane McMahon, you'd want Shane to give Kevin his comeuppance. But I I can't really say if that's going to happen. Now, as far as Shane is concerned, Shane being commissioner, he's still commissioner. He's there's no indication that he's out. Um, he was suspended as commissioner on screen. It doesn't mean that he was suspended. Oh, it doesn't mean he was suspended. Um, on screen, he was suspended as commissioner. It doesn't mean he lost his job. Okay. I mean, let's have it. Let me give you a good example. Stephanie McMahon is commissioner of Raw, and yet she showed up on SmackDown tonight in sort of a realistic work shoot kind of moment. So, yeah, she's still commissioner of Raw, although she's not there. Shane is still commissioner of SmackDown, even though he's not there. Um, and let's not forget, in story, Vince has the power to book the commissioners in matches if he wants to, and that's what he did. But again, what they're doing here with Owens and this whole McMahon situation, Shane, Vince, whoever, I think I think they're doing a good job. I mean, you knew eventually, and I think and I think those behind the scenes at WWE knew eventually they were going to have to go the route of the anti-authority Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen, if you will. They knew eventually they would have to go to, you know, in that direction because that's what fans know him best for his anti-authority attitude and personality before he came to WWE. So for them to finally go in that direction here, I think is worth it. I think it's going to be really worth it, hopefully in the end. Um, but again, like I was saying earlier, if you want Kevin to get his comeuppance, I don't know if he's going to get it in Hell in a Cell. I think what's going to happen is they're going to have a good match. They're going to have a fight. Uh, but what I see happening in the end is possibly the match just being called off, and that's it. And and if it main events the show, that's how how the show is gonna go off the air. The match is gonna be called off because you can't tell me Shane's not gonna perform something off the top of that damn cell with Owens. Like either Owens gets tossed off and Shane jumps down on him, or Shane puts him on the table, maybe straps him down or something, and then goes to the cell, goes on top of the cell and drops an elbow, just like he tried to do with Undertaker at WrestleMania. You know, you can't tell me that they won't think about doing that to try to continue this feud, even to push this feud out even further. Because I think that'd be the most logical solution if you want to continue this feud. Um, Basically, if you have the match come to an end like that, it basically shows that Shane is willing, storyline wise, to sacrifice himself to put an end to Owens once and for all, to finally get him out of WWE, not just off SmackDown, but out of WWE permanently, because the guy has no respect. But the story angle, though, I think was good. I mean, again, like I said, I know some people didn't want to see Vince take the bump that he did, but you got to give Vince McMahon credit. You know, he may be what 70 something years old. The guy keeps himself in shape, obviously, well enough to want to take these kind of bumps and this kind of abuse. I don't know if maybe he legitimately got hurt a little bit. You know, maybe he expected that to happen if it, once he agreed to this. But um, again, we don't know if he was legitimately hurt. He was talking about his ribs and all that, so we don't know if maybe there was a legit injury, small, whatever. But it definitely adds fuel to the fire between Owens and Shane, because Shane can come out and say, "Hey, despite my differences with my dad, you know, despite my differences, that's still my dad. He's still my dad. He's still my son, my kid's grandfather." You know, and I think this whole thing with Owens going up against not just Shane, but now the entire McMahon family, if not the company, some might say is reminiscing of Randy going up against them. But you got to remember that all started because Randy, I think, either RKO'd Vince. No, he didn't RKO Vince. He RKO'd Stephanie when Stephanie was kind of like that tweener face at the time. He RKO'd her. So, so that's how that started. So it might be a little bit reminiscing of that, but I think honestly, I think honestly they got a better shot of going and having some kind of real good conclusion when this all comes to a head in the end, depending on how far they drag this out. I think they have the potential to really, make something of this, to really get people's attention on the product. And I want you to think about this. I want you to think about when they're doing this now, when they finally decide to pull the trigger and go this route with Owens. Around the time they know people will be tuning into other programming, either football, sitcoms, crime dramas, you name it. So to to see them finally pull the trigger, but do it at this time, I think is pretty good. I think it's a smart move. It gets people talking. Um, but again, you got to wonder if they're going to be able to follow through with it, and I think they will. I think this is possibly the best option they got. I think this is going to be something that if they play the cards right, and I think they will, and they don't hotshot it, that this could potentially be something that will build to something more at WrestleMania. Because they can definitely, I mean, they got money on their hands here with this feud between Shane and Kevin. They got money. There's no doubt. So I think I think the Hell in a Cell match is going to be good. I have this feeling it's going to be a match that'll be stopped. After a big spot happens, potentially off the cell by Shane, it's going to just come to a stop. I just feel I feel that's the direction they're going to go, and it's going to help further continue this feud into Survivor Series and probably further on after that. So, because you got to remember, it's now not just Owens against Shane. It's Owens against the company. It's Owens against the McMahons. And I think potentially, if we're not going to get Shane and Triple H anytime soon, we may end up getting possibly around WrestleMania time if they go this far with it. This angle with Owens, if they go that far with it. I've got a feeling we may end up having Triple H against Kevin Owens. And I think a lot of people would be okay with that. Because you'd have mentor against student, but mostly from a realistic personal standpoint, You'd have the son-in-law. You'd have the husband. You have the son-in-law of the chairman, the husband of his wife's father, fighting for the honor of not just the company but of the family against someone like Owens, who's just anti-authority and just wants to take down everybody because he's not getting things the way he wants it. So I think, I mean, I just thought about it, thought about this, that I think that's what we could be leading towards. If we're not going to get Shane and Hunter, we might as well get, I think, the next best thing in Hunter and that being Owens against Hunter. I really do, and I think this is just the beginning of that happening. Now I know you might be thinking, well, what if this is all set up? What if this is all, from a storyline perspective, a setup for the Authority to swoop in and take control of SmackDown? Well, I'll say this: if that's where they would be going, I'll say this: if that is the direction they're going to go, um, I I really I really hope they have something good ready. I hope they have something good planned for that moment if they decide to go in that direction. If they decide to make it an Authority storyline and all this is just a setup to get Shane out of power and Daniel Bryan out of power, so they can control both shows. Hopefully they hopefully they have something special in mind. It's going to be worth all our trouble if that's what this is going to eventually become. But I don't think it will. I think honestly, what we're going to get, because I think WWE, whether you like them or not, you got to give them credit. They sometimes know that fans can predict the direction where things are going to go, and whether they just keep going in that direction, whether or not we know it's predictable. Sometimes you got to give it to them for the fact that they know that sometimes they got to shake things up, change things around. And I think the best bet is not to turn this into an Authority storyline to try to gain power and gain control of both shows. No, I think honestly, this has got to become a storyline. This has got to be the beginning. This has got to become this whole thing with what happened with Shane last week, with what happened with Vince this week. This has got to be the beginning of the foundation. This has got to be the foundation that leads us, that we use to build, that WWE uses to build towards WrestleMania and towards a Kevin Owens Triple H match. Because to me, that's the most logical sense, especially from a storyline perspective and a work shoot realistic perspective. I think that's the best option you got. It's the best direction you can go in. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I don't think I will be. So again, I thought the segment was good. I really do, and I think this is just the beginning because I don't think Hell in a Cell is going to be the end. I think at Hell in a Cell there's going to be a moment where Shane's going to jump off the cell onto Owens to a table like he tried to do Undertaker. And that's how the match is going to come to a stop. And just going to end the show that way if that main event's and close out the show. And I believe that's just going to be the beginning because that's going to help expand this feud into Survivor Series and even further. Because I think the ultimate goal for them in the end is to try to go to WrestleMania or try to go all the way to WrestleMania with this. And eventually this leads to a match between Owens and Triple H. Because once you have Owens be done with Shane, once they finally cool that down, you can go the Triple H Owens route because Owens would still be, because you could still use the idea that Owens, despite the fact that he's done with Shane, still wants to take out the McMahon family, take out the company. That could be your next logical step to build towards something between him and Triple H at WrestleMania. Again, I could be wrong, And if this is going to be turn out to be a storyline where the Authority gains power out of this or something, or at least tries to, and this leads to Hunter and Shane at WrestleMania, again, hopefully they have all the objectives in order for that to happen. But I think honestly, after tonight, I think they're gonna. I think the main goal, the ultimate goal in the end of this, unless things change, is Kevin Owens Hunter at WrestleMania. I really do, because I believe this is just the beginning. Speaking of pay-per-views, one thing a lot of people question is why you got Reigns against Cena at No Mercy and Strowman against Lesnar at No Mercy, basically an in your house like event. Well, WWE, well, apparently it's reported that WWE wants to treat these events just as big as a SummerSlam, equal in terms as a SummerSlam, a Mania, what have you. Despite them originally, the origins and roots, be, and despite the fact that their roots can be traced back down to the in your house events. Um, but as far as that card goes, I look at it this way. You know, you would think you would think Lesnar and Strowman should main event and close out the show for the Universal Championship, and they should. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think what's going to happen is they're going to be the second to last match, and the match that closes it out is Reigns and Cena. I know people don't want to hear that, but here's why. You don't want Strowman to look you don't want Strowman to look weak in defeat. You don't want to build him up to being this unstoppable monster to where even the beast is confused about what he can do. You know, it's concerned and confused about what he's going to be able to do. Ooh, to try to take this guy down. So, to me, the most logical choice is they will be the second to last match. And basically, the match people may not like the idea, but I think the match ends in a double disqualification. And again, you further the story up till Survivor Series to where at least there, because it would be more important, it's on a bigger show, a bigger event. More people will be obviously watching. It's being done the week of Thanksgiving, on the weekend before Thanksgiving, so it'll be a bigger deal. So I think what's going to happen at No Mercy is Strowman and Lesnar will be the second to last match, and they're going to end in a double disqualification. Because one, you don't make Lesnar look weak in defeat or victory, and you don't make Strowman look weak in defeat or victory. You basically build it up to the fact that it's going to probably take a no disqualification match. It's going to take some kind of match, maybe another Hell in a Cell or something to end this rivalry between these two. And it's going to happen, and that potentially is going to happen at Survivor Series. So I think honestly, that's what you do. You end this match. I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to end it in a double disqualification, and they're just going to build towards the next matchup at Survivor Series, which will probably be the culmination of this feud, of this rivalry between the two. And again, because it's happening on the weekend or on the Sunday before Thanksgiving, they know more people are going to be watching to see what happens. And it's a big four pay-per-view, so it makes more sense, and it's a bigger payout. And that's why I believe, and that's why when I say Cena and Reigns are going to main event No Mercy, there's your reason why. There's your reason. And also, if you're Vince McMahon, you want to close it out by having your chosen one, as people put it, your new Cena, as you would say, in Roman Reigns going over the current top guy around, the current Cena in John Cena. So I think that's what they got planned. I really do. Um, as far as Asuka coming to Raw, I think everybody expected that to happen because let's be honest, Raw needs her. They need her, and definitely they need her. And I think the best way to book her is to make her first match for the is to make one of her first matches for the Raw Women's Championship. And this is the way I look at it. you have, that's the way I look at it. A lot of people are saying they're building towards Naya and Asuka, and they may be doing that, which means you can give Naya a month-long run with the championship. But I think I think honestly, you keep the belt on Alexa after No Mercy. You have her run her mouth. You have Kurt make the match for Survivor Series, and you're off to the races. And if you really want to continue Asuka's momentum, quite honestly, and you keep her undefeated, you basically have her challenge Alexa at Survivor Series, and you have her run through her. I hate to say it, you basically have her annihilate Alexa in the ring at Survivor Series at a Big Four and walk out the Raw Women's Champion, and then you build up to something and either between her and either Sasha or Bailey for the next couple of months, maybe towards Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. You build towards something like that, you know. And if you want to bring Ember Moon up to the main roster in between that time, you can also build to something involving her. So, and heck, if you're going to bring Ronda Rousey in, and let's say Ronda ends up on Raw, because they do need the women, or you end up bringing Shayna Baszler in, and you have her end up on Raw, or Sonya Deville end up on Raw, there's potential there for what you can build towards WrestleMania as well. But when I look at Asuka coming to Raw, I say keep her momentum going. I say keep her undefeated streak going. And I say come Survivor Series, you have her challenge whoever the women's champion is. In this case, I believe it should be Alexa. And pow, you have a plow through Alexa like she's nothing. That's what you do, and then you build up her reign as champion. And just like being similar to NXT, you build it up to no matter who's challenging her, nobody can beat her. And then you get towards maybe finally a confrontation between her, maybe Bailey, Sasha, Ember, if you bring her up. Um, who else? Ronda, if you bring her in and make her part of the Raw roster, or Shayna Baszler, or Sonya Deville, you build something up between any one of those 4 or 5 with Asuka, and you got money, especially going towards WrestleMania, deciding on what direction you go after, building towards that. So that's what I believe they should do with Asuka. They need to hype up her debut, hype up the fact that at Survivor Series she's going to challenge Alexa Bliss, which I believe should still be champion after this, for the Raw Women's Championship, and to really continue where she left off and showcase that dominance. You have a plow through Alexa like she's nothing, and you go from there. So that's that's what I think they should do with it. They should do with Asuka. I really do. But overall, though, those are just my early morning thoughts and discussion on WWE right now and what they're doing with the talent. Again, what I've said here, I believe, is some of the best scenarios and directions for them to go, and I believe they will, unless things change. And hopefully, if they do, they have some kind of contingency plan ready just in case, or they have something backed up, just something in place just in case something ends up changing. And hopefully, whatever they would have as a backup plan is a good one. But again, I think Shane and Kevin's just the beginning to what could be a huge feud, uh, potentially a huge feud, money making feud for someone like Owens that could lead eventually to a match between him and Triple H at Mania. I believe the New Day and the Usos, I think they need to get, I think the final matchup between them will be in a Hell in a Cell. I think that's the most logical choice for them. And again, as far as Shane, unless Nakamura and Mahal get it, but I don't think so. I don't think that's good. I don't think that I don't think the rivalry is necessary for it, but then again, who knows? Um, but and again, as far as Shane and Kevin's Hell in a Cell match, I think that needs to end on a stoppage. A big moment has to happen, and that's how it has to end. Like with Shane coming off on top of Kevin, and that's how you end it. And you go off the air, you build to a Survivor Series, and then you use Survivor Series to build towards your next step in this rivalry, in this feud between Kevin and not just Shane now, but the entire McMahon family and the company. And that has to lead eventually to a match with Hunter or Triple H at WrestleMania. And as far as on the Raw side of things, as far as Kairi Sane goes, keep her momentum up. I say keep her momentum up, and I say let her become women's champion for NXT at NXT Takeover Houston. I think that's the best thing you need to do. I think that's the best idea. That's the most logical idea. Go in that direction. And as far as the Raw side of things go, like I said with Asuka, I think they need to keep her as she is, keep her undefeated. Keep that moniker of hers, you know, going where basically pretty much she's acknowledging that nobody on Raw is going to be ready for her. You have her face, and then you have her come up, face Alexa at Survivor Series, and then walk out with the Women's Championship after plowing, and then walk out with the Raw Women's Championship after plowing through Alexa at Survivor Series, and then you use that to build towards something towards Mania with any of the women that I mentioned. And then as far as Strowman and Lesnar, I think you end. I believe they're going to be like the second match on the card, and I think they're going to end in a double disqualification because I don't think you want to make both men look weak in victory or defeat, especially after you've been doing all this building and all these confrontations and stuff between them. And I think that and then you kind of blow it off at Survivor Series, a big four pay-per-view, bigger payout, and it happens on the weekend before for the Thanksgiving holiday. And then finally, I think the reason that's going to happen is because Cena and Reigns are going to main event. And I believe the reason for that is just like at WrestleMania, Roman's going to probably be going over Cena to close out No Mercy. So those are just my thoughts, though, on WWE. I know there's a lot more to talk about, but I'll probably discuss that later on during lunch today or after work. So let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. Thank you all for watching live this morning. Have a good Wednesday morning. And even to those that watch post live after it's been done and uploaded, have a good morning. Thank you all for watching. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think. The Lex Man, I'd like to know what your thoughts are on what I had to say. And OTR Essential, same with you. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below. David Hero, I'd like to hear from you. What are your thoughts? And that's all I have to say. So God bless. Take care. I'm out.